السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح. الله أكبر الله أكبر. لا إله إلا الله.
إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. إنه من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. وأشهد أن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه. بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في سبيل ربه حتى أتاه اليقين. وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. ثم أما بعد، عباد الله، لازلنا في سيرتنا مع رحلتنا إلى الخلود. We are still going in our journey to the eternity, and we are still going through the phases that we will go through. And we talked about many of them, as you know. We talked about the grave and what will happen to us in this grave when we are there. And we talked about, even before the grave, we talked about this life, dunya. And this is what we hear kind of like every khutbah at all mosques. And then we heard or knew about the blow in the horn, and then the resurrection, and then the shafa'ah, and then the hisab or the judgment before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then the throwing of our books, and then the scale and what will go there. And we, as one of our brothers asked me, we talked about the 70,000 people who will go to Jannah without any judgment. Among them is Akashat ibn Muhsan, as we said before. And I was asked again, what are their characteristics? So Rasulullah said, those who are not pessimistic, those who do not follow others, follow people, either with their eyes, either with their ears, either with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them. Or those who do not cauterize. Cauterize means using like a heated piece of element, iron or something, and burn themselves with as a form of curing diseases. This form of medicine, old medicine, was known before, and it was still used until like 50, 60 years ago. So Rasulullah said, they don't do this. They don't let fire touch their bodies. And today, we will talk about the fountain of Rasulullah and the test of the mu'mineen. The fountain of Rasulullah was described to us many, many times before. It is so big, and every prophet has his own fountain. And people will start to flock to these fountains. Mu'min and munafiq. will go to the fountains of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The munafiqeen are following the mu'mineen at all steps until they get separated at the sirat. Or this is kind of like a bridge between Jannah and between Muslims when they go to Jannah. It has to pass through the hell. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is kind of like the next inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Maryam, وَإِن مِّنكُمْ إِلَّا وَارِدُهَا. Every one of you will go through it. We will see it, no doubt about it. So Rasulullah ﷺ described his fountain, and he said this fountain is very big, and billions of people will be there trying to drink from the fountain of Rasulullah ﷺ. And each prophet will have his own fountain, and his people will go follow him to drink from the fountain. And prophets at this moment wants as many people to come to their places as possible, because they will show off, like, this is how we did our job, as we said last time. This is how we did our job. Look how many followers we could get, how many worshippers to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala we could get. This is a sign of success, or a mark of success for doing their job. And Rasulullah ﷺ describes it by having these cups that are kind of made of crystals, made of pearls. And there will be people whom Rasulullah ﷺ will ask to keep away from the fountain. And those are the munafiqeen. He will try to push them away from his fountain. And those are the munafiqeen. And he describes himself as a person who has a herd of camels, and these camels are very thirsty, and all of a sudden they come to a source of water. Look how crowded they will be to this source of water. Rasulullah described us as like that. And then, after we have this drink from the fountain of Allah, of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Rasulullah describes it as white as milk, as sweet as honey. As sweet as honey. And if you drink one time out of it, you will never feel thirsty again. You will never feel thirsty again. The smell is like the musk, or rih al-misk, for those of you who know Arabic, for rih al-misk. Then comes the 11th stage, which is the test of the mu'min. And the test of the mu'min, there is a hadith of Rasulullah ﷺ that describes one of the verses in the Quran, and I had to follow this hadith because it was the first time for me to know about it. The mu'mineen and the munafiqeen and the kafireen will be in the same place. Every one of them, including us, will wait for the worshipped whom we used to worship. Everyone will wait for his God to come. Those who worship the sun will wait for the sun to come. And it will come. Those who worship the moon will wait for the moon to come. Those who worship a certain statue will wait for this certain statue to come. And it will come. And each group will follow their worshipped God. I don't want to use the word God because there is no God but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I'm going to say the entity they used to worship. So they followed the worshipped personality or the worshipped ideal that they used to worship, and it will take them until they reach the surface of Jahannam. Except mu'mineen and munafiqeen. We will wait. And hadith of Rasulullah says that we are going to wait until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes to us in a different way than we know it. In a different way than we know it. We haven't seen Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala before. So how do we know? We know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala laysa kamithlihi shay. There is nothing like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it seems like something recognizable will come to us. If we recognize it, it is not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We recognize certain characteristics in this. Like he has 2 eyes like our eyes, 2 ears like our ears. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has hearing power, but we don't know if he has ears or not. We know he has hands, because he told us about that. These are some of the characteristics of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is kind of like dispute between scholars, but this is what's mentioned in the Quran. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will come to us in a way that we don't recognize. Like maybe without a throne, like maybe without angels. He will just come to us and he says, what are you waiting here for? So the mu'mineen will say, we are waiting for our Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to follow. So he says, I am your God. We say, A'udhu billah, it cannot be him. He has a sign. He has a sign. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will disappear, will go away, and then come back again in a way that we know. It must be a glorified way. And then He will make one of His legs appear to us. One of His legs appear to us. That's when we all make sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We haven't seen His face, but we will see His leg. And we will all make sujood to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The verse in the Quran that describes this is this. يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ وَتُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ فَلَا تَسْتَطِيعُونَ. When a leg is apparent to you and you are asked to make sujood and you won't do it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He was talking here to the munafiqeen. Because the munafiqeen will not be able to make the sujood. The munafiqeen will not be able to make or to perform the sujood. And then we will follow Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until we reach the sirat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes this exact moment by saying, وَسِيقَ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا إِلَى جَهَنَّمَ زُمَرًا حَتَّى إِذَا جَاءُوهَا فُتِحَتْ أَبْوَابُهَا وَقَالَ لَهُمْ خَزَنَتُهَا أَلَمْ يَأْتِكُمْ رُسُلٌ مِّنكُمْ يتلون عليكم آيات ربكم وينذرونكم لقاء يومكم هذا قالوا بلى ولكن حقت كلمة العذاب على الكافرين. And those who disbelieve will be driven to hell in groups until when they reach it, its gates are opened and its keepers will say, did there not come to you messengers from among yourselves, reciting to you the verses of your Lord and warning you of the meeting of this day of yours? Then they will say, yes, but the word of punishment has come into effect upon the disbelievers. The question from the angels is not kind of like a question to know. The question is kind of a criticizing question. You already got messengers. What brought you here to us? What brought you here to us? If you ever go to some of the official offices, you will ever meet one of those employees and he says, for example, why did you late? We made a lot of advertisements that this is the final day of doing this or that. Why are you late? I can't do you anything. This is kind of like he's criticizing the behavior of you becoming late. The same thing is here. Why are you in the hell? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is just. He must have sent you someone to warn you of this fate that you are in right now. But they say, yes, it has. We were sent someone. ولكن حقت علينا كلمة العذاب. Which means that the punishment has been upon us. Why? Because we didn't wisely think of the consequences of our decisions that we have to make in the life of dunya. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also says that those disbelievers will be thrown upon their faces in Jahannam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, الذين يحشرون على وجوههم إلى جهنم أولئك شر مكانا وأضل سبيلا. Which means that those who are grouped and gathered to be thrown on their faces in hell, those are the worst in position and farthest astray in their way. Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has described this in a hadith that I have just mentioned, waiting for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to come to us, and the munafiqeen not being able to perform. As I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Qalam, verse number 71, يَوْمَ يُكْشَفُ عَنْ سَاقٍ وَيُدْعَوْنَ إِلَى السُّجُودِ فَلَا يَسْتَطِيعُونَ. The day, the shin will be uncovered, and they are invited to make sujood. That's prostration. But the disbelievers will not be able to do it. Then we reach as-sirat. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we will follow him until we reach as-sirat. In Surah Al-Fatiha, اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. We say this, please guide us to the straight path. But there are different straight paths. So which one? The path of those whom you have blessed. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم. No one will pass the sirat just because he did good work or good deeds in his life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must bless you to pass the sirat. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this day, He will extend the sirat above Jahannam. And Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam described it saying that إِنَّهُ أَحَدُّ مِنَ السَّيْفِ وَأَدَقُّ مِنَ الشَّعْرِ وَأَرْوَهُ مِنَ الثَّعْلَبِ. What does this mean? It is so thin. It is even thinner than one hair of yours. And it is so sharp. It is even sharper than the edge of the sword. وَأَرْوَهُ مِنْ ثَعْلَبِ. It means that it doesn't go straight like that and you just follow it. No. You could be going through it like that, or you could be going above it like that, and all of a sudden it changes its direction. And then you will fall. The person who is passing there by that time. So it could go like this, and all of a sudden changes its direction like that. So you have to be faster than the sirat in its movement. And Rasulullah ﷺ described the way we will pass the sirat, saying that every one of us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give him light. Will give him light proportional to his good deeds in this dunya. And this light will help us see the sirat. Some of us will pass the sirat as the lightning. And the first ummah to pass the sirat is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and us. Prophets in this day, at this stage, will have only one dua to make. Allahumma sallim sallim. Oh Allah, make it peaceful, make it peaceful. Or, which is more right translation, oh Allah, save us, save us. Save us from what? Save us from this sirat. Save us from this sirat. And when we go through it, some of us, as I said, will pass like the lightning. And some of us will pass like the rocket. Well, some of us will pass like a plane, an airplane. Some of us like the best of the horses that can run. Some of us like the best of the camels, and so on. Until those with almost no light. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give some of us, based on their deeds, light in their thumb, in their finger, in their legs. Just one finger that turns up and on and off. On and off. When it is on, the person with this light will take a step forward. When it is off, the other leg could fall. But he will not fall from the sirat. And then on again, so he will adjust his position until he passes the sirat. Until he passes the sirat. And this is one of the most dangerous phases that we will go through. It is upon the sirat that some of us, mu'min, who have done some bad deeds in this dunya and they need punishment, that they will fall from the sirat to Jahannam to get some punishment there. Allahu A'lam how long it will be. But we don't want to be there, inshallah. We don't want to be there, inshallah. Then Rasulullah ﷺ will pass. Many of us, inshallah, will pass. And then we go to Jannah. The kuffar will not just fall from the sirat. There are actually some clamps that are waiting for them. And they will come from the top and from the bottom to snatch them from the sirat. To snatch them from the sirat. The munafiqeen will fall in Jahannam until the lowest part of Jahannam. إن المنافقين كانوا في الدرك الأسفل من النار. All munafiqeen, the hypocrites, are at the lowest level of Jahannam. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله العظيم لي ولكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا قيما لينذر بأسا شديدا من لدنه ويبشر المؤمنين الذين يعملون الصالحات أن لهم أجرا حسنا ماكثين فيه أبدا وينذر الذين قالوا اتخذ الله ولدا ما لهم به من علم ولا لآبائهم كبرت كلمة تخرج من أفواههم إن يقولون إلا كذبا. All praises to Allah, the one who has revealed the book upon his slave. A book that is so straight to warn a great punishment and to bring the good news of the believers who do the good deeds, that they will have a great reward and they will stay in it forever. وَيُنذِرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا اتَّخَذَ اللَّهُ وَلَدًا. And it warns those who says Allah has a son. For they have no knowledge of that. They have no witnessing to this. Neither their fathers. What a word they have said that comes from their mouth. They say nothing but a lie. Alhamdulillah. نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونشكره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله رسول الإنسانية المهداة سيدنا محمد الصادق الوعد الأمين وعلى إخوانه النبيين والمرسلين ورضي الله عن زوجاته أمهات المؤمنين وعن كل آل البيت الطاهرين وعن الخلفاء الأربعة الراشدين أبي بكر وعمر وعثمان وعلي وعن الأولياء والأتقياء والصالحين أما بعد عباد الله فإني أوصيكم ونفسي بتقوى الله عز وجل. We have been talking about the phases to eternity and inshallah we will continue them. But there is something good that we need to know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and through Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us how to do the good deeds that will save us from all these passages or these phases in which so many people of the disbelievers will see a very bad destiny. There is a hadith, a small hadith that I'm going to say to you. The Sahaba, the companions of Rasulullah used not to keep asking Rasulullah questions. It's not polite to keep asking Rasulullah questions. And Rasulullah has warned them from that. When he said, whatever I mention, just take it. And if I keep silent about something, don't ask about it. But the Sahaba were so smart. Were so smart. What did they do? Whenever they get a new visitor to Medina to meet Rasulullah, you will find them flocking to the mosque. Why? Because the new visitor doesn't know about these behavioral rules that Rasulullah has put. So they are sure that he will ask something. He came to ask about something. So this is a good chance for us to learn something new without asking about it. Then comes this Bedouin. And Bedouin are known to be of hard manners. That's how they are. And he came to Rasulullah. Then he asked Rasulullah, "O Rasulullah, when is the day of judgment? Mata as-sa'a? When is the day of judgment?" So Rasulullah was kind of leaning, so he stood straight and he looked to the man smiling. Rasulullah doesn't know the answer. Nobody knows the answer. And then he smiled to the man and he said, "What have you prepared for?" Okay, you're asking about the day of judgment. This for Rasulullah. Rasulullah was very smart, Allah. He knew this man is a believer. He knows about the day of judgment. He already knows about the day of judgment and he believes in the day of judgment. But he wants to know when. Very common question. Curiosity is in us all. So he said, "What did you prepare for it?" He doesn't talk about iman or faith or believing in Allah. This is all done. So the man said, "Wallahi, I have prepared not much. Wallahi, I have prepared not much. Not a lot of prayers, not a lot of fasting, not a lot of paying zakat. But I love Allah and His Messenger. But I love Allah and His Messenger." So Rasulullah said this. Please listen carefully. You are with whom you love. You are with whom you love. Where is Rasulullah in Jannah? Where is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The top of Jannah. And he loves Allah and His Messenger. The man was sincere in his love. Rasulullah could feel it. You are with whom you love. To love Rasulullah is to follow the orders that he says. If you love someone and he asks you, if you love your son, he asks for something, you will go with it. So, Rasulullah could feel the sincerity of the man's feeling. And he said, you are with whom you love. Sayyidina Anas ibn Malik radiallahu anhu says, Wallahi, I have never seen the companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam as heavy as they were in this day. It could be before Badr. It could be before Badr, maybe. It could be after. Why? Because they all love Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And they want to be with him. Rasulullah says, you are with whom you love. They win. This is what they wanted to know. He says, Wallahi, I have never seen the companions of Rasulullah as happy as they were in this day. Without asking a single question. Why? Because you love Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you will do what you have been ordered to do to the best you can. To the best you can. You may hear so many imams and khatibs and lectures that say, if you do this, you will go to Jannah. If you do that, you will go to Jannah. Which one should I go for? It's because Rasulullah ﷺ used to meet different scholars, different companions of him. And each one of them, based on his personality, as Rasulullah ﷺ studied them, he tells him exactly what he needs to do. And all of these teachings just came to us. So whichever we follow, we will just pass the test of this dunya. The test of this dunya. عباد الله اعلموا أن خير ما نتقرب به إلى الله هو الصلاة على رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. فاللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما صليت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد كما باركت على سيدنا إبراهيم وعلى آل سيدنا إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد. اللهم اهدنا فيمن هديت وعافنا فيمن عافيت وتولنا فيمن توليت وبارك اللهم لنا فيما أعطيت وقنا واصرف عنا شر ما قضيت فإنك سبحانك تقضي بالحق ولا يقضى عليك وإنه لا يذل من وليت ولا يعز من عاديت تباركت ربنا وتعاليت لك الحمد على ما قضيت ولك الشكر على ما أعطيت نستغفرك اللهم من جميع الذنوب والخطايا ونتوب إليك. Oh Allah, make us fear you enough that we will never commit what makes you angry from us, and give us a share of your obedience that with which we can reach your Jannah inshallah, and give us faith that will make all the troubles of this dunya easy for us to take. Oh Allah, make us enjoy our hearing, our eyesight, our powers for as long as we stay in this dunya. Oh Allah, don't make our problem or our trouble in our religion and our faith, and don't make this dunya the best we know about. Don't make this dunya the best we know about. And don't make Jahannam our last end. And make Jannah the best that we can reach and the final house that we will ever dwell in. Oh Allah, don't rule us by those who do not fear you, by those who have no mercy upon us, and fear our neck and our souls from Jahannam. اللهم تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم أحسن عاقبتنا في الأمور كلها وأجرنا من خزي الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة. عباد الله، إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تتقون. فاذكروا الله العظيم الجليل يذكركم واحمدوه واشكروه على نعمه يزدكم واستغفروه يغفر لكم واتقوه يجعل لكم من أمركم مخرجا وأقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر لا